Hi, my name is Tim Brennan. You may have seen the tea weeder commercial on my other website, and some of the lake weed removal devices that I've tried in the past and spent literally hundreds of dollars on. I'm going to just give a little bit of an overview of why those solutions did not work the way I had hoped. One of the solutions was a weed cutter. And the weed cutter is actually an awesome tool. It did exactly what it was said to do. And when you throw the weed cutter out, it skimmed the bottom and cut the weeds off at their base. The problem with the weed cutter that I encountered was once the weeds were cut, some of them would either float to the surface while others would sink to the bottom of the lake. And the problem then was how to retrieve those weeds from either the surface or the bottom. So that entailed a whole nother effort to try and get the weeds out of the lake. One of the other things I tried was a lake weed rake. It has about 10-inch long tines on the end of the rake head, and that could be used to retrieve the weeds that maybe had sunk to the bottom after you'd cut them. But as far as just using that rake in and of itself, it did very little to remove any of the weeds that were actively growing in the lake. It just kind of combed through them, so to speak, but really removed very, very few of the weeds. Another device that I actually own is a weed roller, and the weed roller works great, but the two downsides to the weed roller are, one, it's very expensive. It costs over $3,000. And number two, the arm of the weed roller is only 21 feet long, and it must be anchored to one of the corners of your dock. So it can only reach out about 21 feet from wherever the motorized head is anchored. So it's got a very limited range of coverage. So that's kind of the downside to the weed roller. Another thing I tried was some chemicals that were supposed to kill lake weeds. And after spending literally hundreds of dollars on some of these chemicals, we saw very, very little impact at all on the weeds that were growing in our lake. So we felt that that was just money we had wasted. The tea weeder, what's unique about it is with the aluminum head on it, solid aluminum. The whole tea weeder is made out of either aluminum or galvanized steel, things that will not rust. But the unique thing about the tea weeder is the head is made out of 1/4-inch thick aluminum, and there's two layers of it. There's a top and a bottom layer, and it's got these 1-inch, very sharp 1-inch teeth that are very aggressive. And with the V-shaped cut in them, as it skims along the bottom of the lake, any weeds in its path, it grabs the stem of the weed and it pulls it out. The teeth from the top layer of the tea head to the bottom, they don't line up exactly on top of each other. They're offset a little bit. And what that design function does is it creates kind of a zigzag. So when the weeds come through the head, they're actually, it grabs them a little bit better because of that little zigzag that is created by the offset teeth. So that's a couple of the functions that make the tea weeder much more effective than any other device for removing lake weeds.